I'm coming for you. That is 'cause you're a snake.
A man and his friend were walking in the bush one day, which they'd done many times, when all of a sudden a snake came out of the grass and attacked one of the men. It was quite a dangerous snake. It was poisonous, and it was really important that the man went to hospital as soon as possible for treatment, because that would save him. But that's not what happened. The snake slithered back off into the grass, and the man chased after him. Hello, welcome to the Better Humans podcast. My name is Greg Pfeiffer. I'm your host for this series of podcasts. This is a series of podcasts based on the idea of talking about transforming yourself into a better human, personal development, and the idea of what a better human would be. So if you're in this situation where you've just been bitten by a snake, what would you do? You'd probably make amends and get to hospital as soon as possible. But this is not what our man did. He chased the snake. And the snake sensed he was being chased, so he made good his escape. And the man chased after him. And all this did was mean that the poison was circulating faster through his system and would make him sicker much quicker. But the man was still determined to chase this snake. And the snake went through a clearing, then onto some rocks. And the man climbed up onto the rocks thinking he could get the snake. And he saw the snake had gone into a little space, a little crevasse between the rocks. And although the man was feeling quite weak by this stage, he went into the crevasse and he got stuck between the rocks. And he was just suddenly realised he was too weak to get himself out. And he saw the snake, and all he could say was, "Why? Why did you do this? Why did you bite me?" But he didn't get an answer. He just saw the snake continue on its way. It didn't care. It had bitten him, and that was all that mattered. And in that chasing after the snake, the man perished. So it has coined the phrase that some people are involved in an activity known as chasing the snake. They become so involved in the trying to understand why somebody has hurt them that they take on this really negative behaviour of trying to get a reason, get an understanding of why the person did this to them. Now, the snake in this case may also have been a friend or someone they knew. So this adds an extra personal touch to it because there's been a betrayal possibly involved in there. And the person is just caught up in this, why did this happen to me? Why did you do this to me? And this sense of betrayal is quite strong and it's really hard to resolve. And the person feels a need to resolve this issue. The person may also take on a vigilante mindset, that they are so involved in now seeking justice and retribution for what has gone wrong. And this can consume a person. It can take a lot of energy. It can lead them to do some things that really aren't helpful to themselves. And all the time that they are doing this, they are pouring energy into this chase of a snake simply to get a reason to get an answer, to get clarification. When what the person really needed to do was to get to hospital, to get the help, to actually start the process of healing and getting better. People who are involved in chasing the snake don't heal. In fact, they probably pick at the wound, they keep it open. It's a festering wound and they keep prodding it. They keep feeling hurt. They do not get better because they have to hold on to the open wound and the pain of that wound to drive them to keep chasing that snake. And this can be an all-consuming behaviour and mindset, and it unfortunately is one of the most negative things that people can get caught up into. But ultimately it still becomes a choice. It is a choice of what we want to do. Whether we want to be involved in chasing the snake or whether we want to be involved in making a positive choice and taking action for ourselves to be able to heal, to be able to move on. Many people take the wrong choice. It is a question of the mindset too. Are you going to be involved in this negative behaviour, or are you going to look at some positive behaviour for it? It comes down to also being able to accept that what has happened, that it is something you can't undo. It is something you no longer have control over. But it is something a lot of people will try and dwell on and try and make right and seek these answers for it. But that's not really in their best interest to do so, although the person that thinks it's in their best interest. Take, for example, someone who has been fired or let go by a company, made redundant. And this may be an employee who's been a good employee and has been there for a number of years. And it wasn't anything they have done. It may just be the nature of the times, economic circumstances has caused redundancies, and this person has been let go. Now, this person could try and move on, accept what it's been done, and go and take something that's positive. They could go out, start looking for jobs, working on their resume, making contacts, doing all the things they need to do to get on with their life. Alternatively, they could go and decide, no, why has this been done to me? Which puts them, first of all, in a victim mentality. They could also want to know from the company something personal, an explanation. Why was it done? And they may involve in harassing staff or the bosses at the work. They may be writing letters, and emails and phone calls. There could be things where they're posting on social media and woe is me, this company has done this to me, and just involved in a lot of behaviours that really aren't moving them forward. And this does touch on another issue, that in being able to do this and this idea of chasing things and wanting this justice and this vigilantism and victim, is that social media makes it so easy to do. It is so easy to put up a post and make out that we are a victim, and to play the why was this done to me, and put out a question and this need to have an explanation for it. But ultimately, it is a destructive tool. You won't necessarily get an answer. You can chase a long time and the answer will not come. There's also no guarantee that the answer you get is one that you want. The answer may be totally unsatisfactory. It wasn't anything personal. It was simply we had to let people go. We weren't making money. We had a loss. We had to cut staff. We lost orders. A very simple thing. But this may not be satisfactory to the person. It may not help solve their idea of being a victim and persecuted, and they may even go and pursue things for longer. And all the time they're doing this, of course, they're not getting a job, they're not getting income, they're getting into possibly a bigger financial debt situation, and just basically making life much more difficult for them. So this is why it is really a negative thing to go chasing the snake. It also indicates this inability to let go of something that has happened. And this is something I have spoken about before, that this ability to let go of the emotion, the anger, the frustration, and all these negative feelings that are associated with something. And often we will hold on to them and let them keep generating negative energy within us. Whereas the best thing we can do is actually learn to let it go and move on and get some positive energy back in. But there could be various reasons why it suits us to still hold on, or we think that holding on is an easier option than actually letting go of this pain for it. And it does involve another part, this ability then to move on and to come to the realization that moving on is part of the healing process, that we won't always get what we want, but we can move on and make some positive impact upon our life. We can go and do the things we need to do to make it better. Yes, something bad has happened, and that's what happens. We get setbacks. And we can either keep focusing on the setback, or we can come and make some progress and move on. We can take the lesson that this has taught us for it and get on with our lives and move forward. So there's these parts of getting the right mindset, acceptance, letting go, and deciding to move on. And it's only through taking all these steps that we'll be able to finally heal and get back into a good place once again. A wound is not going to heal if we keep it open. If our behaviours are not letting that wound heal, if we keep ripping the band-aid off, we keep poking it and prodding it, we keep dwelling on it. And I know it's a lot harder if you feel it has been something quite personal that has been done to you, but this is even where the ability to let go comes in, because the more personal it is, the more destructive it can be. We know also when I talk about social media, this means a lot of hurt can come from people that have absolutely nothing to do with us. And there are a lot of people who are maybe trying to understand what we now call trolls on social media. And there are people who do get trolled and get some very nasty and hurtful things are said about them and are done about them on social media. And it can be very easy to go and, again, try and chase down these people and spend effort trying to understand all the time, why are you saying this? Why are you doing this? And it can take a real lot of energy to do this. Whereas really what you should be doing is just realizing this is someone you don't know typing stuff at the end of a keyboard for some unknown reason. It is probably there trying to make themselves look good. And somehow trolling you is bumping up their ego. And not biting is one of the greatest things you can actually respond to, is not biting back, is not responding, is not giving any energy to these people. It is something that is becoming a lot harder. I understand there's a lot of people who do get attacked online, and it's a great problem. There's bullying and things that are happening in social media. There are a lot of snakes out there, particularly younger people are having a terrible time with this bullying and horrible online behaviour. And it comes another view of why people are doing this, and it's something that we'll leave that to the psychologists and the experts to understand why people engage in this behaviour. And it is something that is very hard to get on and move on from. But a lot of people will find they just still continue to dwell on it, and they're just looking for the reason for why it's happening, for why are people doing this, and trying to get that understanding. And that is going to get them nowhere. It just keeps that hurt coming. So it's a great thing to think of yourself. Have there been times when you've been bitten by the snake? Are there still occasions where you are still chasing a snake? Have a think. Is this really helping you out? Is this making your life better? What is your end point? What happens if you catch your snake? Are you going to get an answer? Will they give you an answer that you want? And will getting an answer that's unsatisfactory cause more issues? Will it actually resolve anything? Letting go and stopping chasing the snake and running back to the hospital and healing is the much better strategy for it. But it is something that can take a lot of effort and thought to actually do the right thing when this strong push is on, just to understand why. And wanting to know why is a very strong compulsion for humans. But it is something that you must overcome. It will help make you a better person if you can overcome that and lose that, as I said, vigilante, retribution mindset, negative behaviours. So have a think to yourselves, have there been these situations? And how far did you chase the snake? What made you stop chasing the snake? Did you get your answer for it? Is this something that you have repeated? Is this a pattern of behaviour? And if so, how has it worked out for you? Is it something you think you possibly need to change and can now understand that is a better way of handling situations than becoming someone who chases the snake every time they get hurt by doing something? Can you recognise people around you who are involved in that behaviour? Maybe if you recognise it, you may be able to help them and understand they are being involved in some negative behaviour. Help them heal. There's so many people saying they're being hurt. What we need is healing. And maybe you can be that person that recognises it in someone else now that you're aware. So I just hope this podcast has stimulated some thought and may lead to some discussion. I'd love it if your platform allows to leave some comments. Also, feedback is available through the email contact@thebetterhumansproject.com. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to spread the word on socials, and hopefully we'll talk again and you can work on becoming a better human. So until next time, take care.
Remember the price, 'cause I'm coming for you. That is 'cause you're a snake.